So I run a coaching program in which I teach people how to build a business like mine. To give you context, I run a marketing agency that I've scaled to over $50,000 a month. And I have a program where I teach people how to do the same within their own niche and their own industry. A lot of the sessions or the Zoom calls that I have with my students, along with the technical knowledge that we discuss, we also get into a lot of the mindset that is required behind building a successful business. Not only in the sense of understanding what it entails when you put in the hours and you do the work, but then also general life lessons that are necessary and important for you to not lose motivation when you're building a business. Now for me, this has been a really important part because I've been working on my business in particular before I got it to the point where it's at now for over 4 years. And I only started to see success in the past maybe year, which means for the first 3 years of building this business, I did nothing but try and fail and try and fail and try and fail until one day something worked. So what type of a mindset does it take in order for somebody to consistently fail for over 3 years in a row before they reached what you would consider your first measurable or win that is worthy of any sort of respect? The one thing that I could give credit to in terms of how I was able to do it is this one sentence that I always repeat to myself in my head when I'm being a little bit more pessimistic or I'm being a little more negative or harder on myself and really having negative expectations for myself. And that one sentence is, why wouldn't it work out for me? So in the position that I'm in, and I want to use my position because I know a lot of you guys that are watching are probably in the same position. As a matter of fact, if you're anybody that has any sort of phone, you have access to an internet connection, you have access to a bed that you sleep on every single night, and you don't remember the last time you went hungry and you asked yourself, where's my next meal coming from? You're in the same position as me. So my question to myself would always be, why wouldn't it work out for me? When I'm someone that has access and has been blessed with all of these resources, and then at the same time, there are people out there that have so much less than me, and they've done it way better. Like, truly ask yourself that. You are someone that in this position, once again, if you have access to all the tools and features and comfort you needed to be able to watch this video on my YouTube channel right now, you literally have everything you need. Why wouldn't it work out for you? Now, of course, there are always exceptions to every rule, right? You might be someone that is, let's say, in that extreme scenario in which for whatever reason, whether it's through your family or being held hostage by the cartel or something, you can't make it work in this moment necessarily. But what about the examples in history that we've seen of people that were in a much worse position than you and they still made it out? This is one of the reasons that I think storytelling is so effective when it comes to communicating with human beings. And it's so effective that this is the way that even God has decided to communicate with people in multiple of the religious texts out there, including the Quran. As a Muslim, I read the Quran on almost a daily basis, and a lot of the content that we consume in there consists of stories that happen to the prophets. And we always see this epic story arc in which somebody started out in a really, really bad position, and then with God's blessing, they still made it out and were successful at the end of it. And so for me, when I read these stories, I get inspired. And I always tell myself, look at this individual. And this is a time in which I think it would be good to compare yourself to somebody else. Because a lot of people always say comparison is the thief of joy, which to some extent is true. If you're constantly comparing yourself to somebody that's better than you and you're saying, why don't I have that? Why don't I have this? You will make yourself miserable. But at the same time, you need to hold a sense of gratitude and compare yourself to those who are in a much worse position and have way less than you do. So when I do that, I look at these examples of not only the prophets, but then even other people, average people, that were in a much worse position than me and did things that are way more epic than perhaps I will ever be able to achieve in my entire life. So it's with this one mindset alone that you can start to clear up any of the fears or any of the difficulties that linger in your head that are going to act as a barrier to get you, to rather stop you from getting to where you want to go. In short, you just got to be a little more positive. Like, I know it's a very cliche. I know that's like a very simple way of saying it. But we always, as humans, I guess, tend to lean more towards the negative. We say, what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out? What if this blows up? What if that blows up? What if this is the issue? But what if it does work out? What if it does? Like, imagine, right? If you're someone that's if you're like a young entrepreneur like me, the worst case scenario, and that is my target audience, by the way. So hopefully if you're somebody that's watching this, you are rather younger, you're trying to start something with your life or get something going. You're in the space in which you're trying it out, or even if you're older, right? You're trying to get something going and you're in the process of trying to figure it out. The worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out for you, is you just be average. Like, that's the thing, right? The theme that I have on my channel with the videos that I talk about, as well as the lessons that I try to learn and the things that I try to accomplish, these are above average accomplishments. These are things that if they were to be accomplished, you will have a legacy that will continue to inspire people for generations to come. At least those are my goals. Those are the things that I want to accomplish and how big they are. The worst case scenario that could happen if I don't end up achieving these massive things that I want to achieve, which I can't imagine a scenario in which I wouldn't be able to. I'm going to keep chasing them until I achieve them. The worst thing that can happen if I don't is I go back to being average. And there's absolutely honor within that. What's wrong with giving up on the business one day, saying, okay, I gave it my try, it wasn't for me. I'm just going to go back to getting a normal job in which I can serve somebody else in order to get my salary, in order to be able to take care of myself and my family. There are still billions of people all over the world that do this, and there are still billions of people that have a great sense of honor in doing this one thing and living this simpler type of life. But if you're someone that has the ambitions and has the goals to achieve things that are way greater and much bigger in life, and as I mentioned, goals that are big enough that it's going to leave a legacy that's going to inspire people for generations to come, you need to start imagining what your reality could look like if it does work out. You need to borderline start fantasizing about it. Start imagining the car that you're going to be driving, what that's going to be like. Start imagining the house that you're going to live in. Start imagining the relationships and the access to resources that you're going to be able to give the people around you that you love. Like, for me, it's an incredible life. Driving my dream car, being in my dream house, being able to take care of my family, my friends, being able to provide for my community and build and contribute back to the very things that got me to where I am today. Like, the fantasies that I have, if I were to sit here and draw them for you, you'd think heaven can't be much greater than this. So speaking for myself at least, if everything is as good as I imagine it to be when I succeed, is that not worth a try? Now for me, like I said, it's very straightforward. I want a nice car, I want a nice house, be able to take care of my family, and then give back to my community and give back to Muslims all around the world. I want you to take a second and imagine whatever your best reality is would be like if you were to succeed, if you were to make that business that makes the millions of dollars a year, and it gives you access to everything you want. Take a second and imagine all the finest details of what that type of life would look like, not only in terms of the financial or materialistic achievements, but then even in the matter of things like the satisfaction and the gratitude that you're going to have towards yourself for taking the chance when you were younger and putting yourself in that position where for the rest of your life you never have to worry about money ever again. Is that within itself not worth it to at least try for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, as long as it takes until you accomplish that mission, or you die an honorable death on the path to trying to accomplish it? And so now you have the vision. Now you have the thing that's going to pull you into the future. Now ask yourself in this moment, what is stopping me from going there? Is there a physical barrier that I can't get around? Is it a mental barrier that I can't get around? Is there a relationship that I can't get out of? Am I tied down to a tree that's not allowing me to do my work? Like, what is it that would stop you from getting into that future, except for, let's say, things that you can't already change right now? So you have maybe a pessimistic mindset. You can talk to somebody and figure out your mindset to improve and be more positive. You need more expensive gear. There are a lot of people out there that built $1 million businesses off of just their phone and recording things and then editing it within their phone. And then maybe a $200 or $300 laptop from Best Buy. Is there somebody in your life that's giving you a hard time? Someone that you just need to have a hard conversation with? Okay. You mean to tell me that you're stopping yourself from accomplishing your dream life because you don't know how to have 1 or 2 hard conversations with people? So now we've identified what's going to pull you into the future, and we've gotten rid of the things that are stopping you. And the reality of it is, for most people, if you're in any way in comparison to what I am in my youth with my family and my living situation, nothing is ever really so bad that it's going to affect you and stop you from accomplishing what you want in terms of your goals in your future for the next 10 years. So off the top of my head, whatever the most traumatic experience you had was, if it's a family member passing away, or if it's being in a very hard financial debt because your family, or I don't know, that girl broke your heart or whatever, is anything so bad that you're going to spend the next 10 years of your life pouting about it instead of saying, okay, I've had my period of grief and now I need to get over it and move on with whatever I need to get done? For most people, once again, I respect that there's always exceptions, but for most people, it's never really that bad. And as a matter of fact, you're making it seem way bigger in your head than it actually is. So get your shit together, excuse my language, get your stuff together and get moving. Because the last part of the equation that you need to consider now is if you don't, what type of future will you have when you do accept that side of yourself that is a pessimist, and you do accept that reality and that voice that keeps whispering in your head, it won't work out, just give up. For a lot of people, that's a very depressing life. And they end up accepting a reality in which they're living this quiet life of desperation. Right now in this moment, you can acknowledge that both are a possibility. The life of your dreams or the life of quiet desperation. And you have the choice to choose which one that you want. Now, given that you've been created with the same will that I've been given, why can't you choose the better option for yourself and try everything that you possibly can within your ability for just 1 year? Just give yourself 1 year that you're fully locked in on your goals and you're gonna do everything that you possibly can to get closer to accomplishing your goals. Why wouldn't you give yourself at least 1 year to try and reach where you want to get to? It's really not that hard if you think about it, especially because in our modern day now, the example that I like to always talk about is building an online business, because I've built an online business. I teach other people how to build an online business. And then, of course, a lot of things are built online nowadays. The difficulties that it takes to actually get something like this going, or the barrier of entry rather, that you need to get over in order to start your online business or be successful with anything that has to do with computers or the internet, is very, very simple. Most of the time, the only reason that people can't do it and can't figure it out is because they don't have the ambition or the motivation to sit long enough in front of a computer to pick up the technical skills they need to actually have a skill set that is worthy enough of people paying you for it, or you're just so undisciplined that you can't sit in front of a computer to click a few keywords. Excuse me. You're so undisciplined that you can't sit in front of a keyboard and click a few buttons. So I want you to understand, building a business 100, 200, 300 years ago was 10,000 times more difficult than it is now. You needed to have some sort of authority, you needed to have some sort of capital, maybe you had something that your family or your parents passed down to you in order to make it easier. Today, you don't need any of that. You need access to an internet connection, you need some sort of device, whether it's a phone or a laptop or both, and maybe if you're gonna have something that involves media, having a decent camera. But even then, that's not required because your phone can film a lot of the stuff for you. And I don't care if you have, a Samsung that came out 7 years ago. With proper lighting and everything, you'll get by. So are you meaning to tell me that in our modern day and age, in 2025, when there are a million different ways to make money out there, and a million different platforms and a million different business models that you can try, and all you have to do is lock in front of a computer for a few hours a day for extended amount of time, which is about a year, you can't do that? You're meaning to tell me that you don't have enough discipline to sit in front of a computer for a few hours, watch a few videos, click a few buttons? If that's the case, what would you have done if you wanted to start a business 200 years ago? It just wouldn't have even been a thought. You would have just accepted that your reality is only as a slave, if that was what you were, born into, whether it was like with work or a slave to your family or a slave to your desires or whatever it is, it wouldn't even be a possibility. Like, there is no such thing as it's easy to start. Whereas today you have access to all these tools, all this technology, all these resources. The fact that you're sitting here healthy, watching this video, you have 4 limbs, you have a mind, you're able to breathe, you can sleep when you want to, you can eat when you want to, you can go out, you can enjoy nice weather if you live in a certain area. You're meaning to tell them you have access to all these things. You've been blessed with all these blessings and you're just going to let it go? It's a complete disrespect and inconsideration to all the people in the past and your ancestry and in your lineage and anybody that has had to sacrifice for you to get to where you are today. There's at least one person in your lineage in the past that has sacrificed something or went through a great, immense amount of pain for you to be here today. And their thought was, I'm going to put myself in danger's way for my future to be able to survive and exceed and do well. And you're telling me you've had these however many thousands of years of worth of struggle from your lineage to get you to where you are today, even if it directly came from your parents. Like, I had immigrant parents, I watched them struggle when we were coming up in America. So I've seen that example directly. But then also, if you don't have the immigrant parents, I know your lineage definitely had it in some way, shape, or form. Anyways, you've had somebody that has sacrificed any amount of pain for you to have access to all the resources you have today. And you're going to say, I'm going to let it go to waste because I can't sit in front of a computer for a few hours? You take responsibility. You need to take responsibility. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I need to take accountability for this stuff. I really have no excuse. I just need to strap in. No matter what your excuse is, a lot of people will say, I have this mental issue, I have this trauma, I had this thing happen in my childhood. Okay, what are you expecting to hear? Do you want somebody to tell you, okay, good job, you get a free to go pass because of your excuse? even if you did get that, the reality is you're still putting yourself in a position in which you're not accomplishing your goals. You may get everybody else around you to be understanding and say, okay, let's give him a pat on the back and leave him alone. But at the end of the day, you're still putting yourself in a position in which you've also personally identified, I don't want to be in. I would like to change. I would like to have this. So all I see when I hear these conversations is you've got all the reasons in the world to pull yourself into the future that you want. You have nothing that's stopping you from getting there now. And you have all the reasons of a potential bad future that are pushing you into trying to get into the better one. So sit down and ask yourself, if you've been trying to start that business, if you're trying to start that idea, if you've been trying to get going with that thing that you know will make a difference but you haven't done it yet, what is stopping you? Why wouldn't it work out for you? See you in the next one.